Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader Reading Books for You. Today I will be reading Chapter 14 from Zimbie by Surina Nel. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 14. It is 1 month after the mountain lion attack. James is in the stable. His hand doesn't stop moving as he works his way around Zimbie, brushing him to a shine. "You up for this, Zimbie?" James asks. Zimbie whinnies. James kneels in front of Zimbie. He takes Zimbie's face between his hands and looks Zimbie in the eyes. Zimbie looks back at James. "I'm a bit nervous, Zimbie, but I trust you. I know you can. We can do it." James hugs and continues to saddle Zimbie. James and Zimbie enters the practice arena to practice a couple of jumps before competing. A boy on a chestnut gelding rides up next to them. "Hey, Zimbie, it's good to see you, boy." He looks at James and extends a hand. "I'm Philip. I used to ride Zimbie before, before he changed." "Hi, Philip. It's nice to meet you. I'm James," James says, shaking Philip's hand. "How is he now?" Philip looks at Zimbie. He seems genuinely concerned. Love and pride spreads over James' face. "He is awesome." James pats Zimbie on the neck. "I couldn't have asked for a better pony. He's my best friend." Zimbie whinnies and nods his head. Both James and Philip laughs. "Looks like he agrees with you." Philip gathers his reins to continue practicing. "Good luck to you both." "Thanks. Same to you, and..." James looks at Philip's horse. "Chance." Philip rides off. James gathers his reins and starts a rising trot around the arena. On the second lap, a big bay gelding falls in next to them. Zimbie's eyes stretches when he recognizes Caesar, who looks uncharacteristically nervous. A little girl with red hair and a freckled face, wearing a green jacket and cream jumpers, looks down on James and Zimbie. "Are you going to jump him?" she wants to know. "I jumped him before. He was useless. He made me lose. Now I have Caesar. He is the best jumper around," she continued obnoxiously. James nods and looks at Caesar. He is a beautiful horse, but he seems nervous. "I have to go." James turns Zimbie away towards the upright for practice. "It was her, wasn't it?" Zimbie snorts. Caesar looks nervous. "Think she's doing it to him too?" Zimbie snorts again. They go in for the jump and clears it easily. They canter around to the right, leading with the right leg. James purposely brings Zimbie in at an angle. Zimbie clears it easy. James steers Zimbie to the gate to wait their turn. Waiting next to the fence, they watch the horses doing their rounds. First up is a gray mare. She comes to the first upright beautifully and sails over it. They were doing a great speed. They clear all the jumps until they reach the 7th. They tip a pole on the back of a parallel and send it to the ground. They easily clear the triple bar and finish at a good time with only a 4-point penalty. The next horse to enter is the chestnut gelding Chance, with Philip as his rider. They go in for the first jump and clears it easily. They confidently go over jump 2, 3, and 4. At the double bar at number 5, they have a slight misjudging of steps, but recover quickly. They do the pirouette at number 6 at an extreme angle, but manage without touching a pole. The parallel at number 7 is no challenge. The triple bar at number 8 is more challenging but also clear. They sail over 9 and 10, leaving them with a clear round and the time to beat. The black gelding up next easily manages a clear round, putting him with chance in the jump-off. Zimbie and James enters the gate. They canter 2 small circles, and when their bell goes, they go in for the first jump. Next to the jump, on the other side of the fence, Jen sits in a wheelchair, the whole of her leg in a cast. She's cheering wildly at James and Zimbie. James leans forward and whispers into Zimbie's ear, "Let's do this for Jen, like we have to rescue her, just like that day." Determination spreads over Zimbie's face. The arena changes into grassland, the jumps into ditches and logs. They take on the challenges on by one. Over the log, they turn short to avoid the mountain lion. Over the ditches, before they know it, they fly over the rock wall, taking them home. The cheers coming from the crowd brings them back to reality. James praises Zimbie ecstatically. They have done a perfect, clear round, and now has the time to beat. Gina laughs as Dad picks her up and spins her around in his arms. Jen goes wild in the wheelchair. She nearly falls over. She regains her composure and continues to celebrate. James and Zimbie leaves the arena to wait for the jump-off. Soon as they out, James jumps off Zimbie and gives him a big hug. "You did it, boy! You are the best!" Zimbie hugs James back. The mention of Caesar's name over the loudspeaker makes him look up. James gets up. He stands arm resting on the fence to watch Caesar and Abigail compete. Zimbie walks closer to James and nudges his muzzle under James's arm until James opens his arm enough for Zimbie to fit his head in the crook of his arm. Standing like that, arm over Zimbie, they watch the next round. Abigail and Caesar enter. They canter their small circles, waiting for the bell to go. When it sounds, they approach their first jump, clearing it easy. Jumps 2, 3, and 4 is no challenge. Caesar's excellent schooling gets them through the double bar at number 5. At the pirouette at number 6, Caesar tips a pole, but it stays put. Abigail uses her crop, unnecessary, before jump number 7, which they clear. They come in too fast for the triple bar on number 8. Their stride completely out. For a second time, Caesar's experience saves them. They make it clear over jump 9 and 10 to end up with a clear round. They leave the course. No words of praise for Caesar, who has saved the round. He walks, head hanging, a sad expression on his face. A voice over the loudspeaker calls the horses out for the jump-off. Philip and Chance, James and Zimbie, Storm and Dougie, Abigail and Caesar. They all line up at the gate. Riders, your jump-off will be as follows. You'll do only jump 1, 3, 5, and 10. Good luck to all the riders. The riders lines up. The black gelding, Storm, and Dougie are first. They clear jump 1 easily, go past jump 2 between the fence and the jump. They take a wide turn to jump 3, which they clear. They gallop down the arena, turn behind jump 4, and clear the double bar at jump 5. They rush to turn behind jump 6, turn between jumps 2 and 7, and come in for jump 10. They sail over it for a beautiful clear round. Philip and Chance is next. They clear their first upright. They pass between the fence and jump 2 to line up for 3, which they clear. Behind jump 4, they turn and clear the double bar at jump 5. They turn behind jump 6. Unlike Storm and Dougie, they pass between jump 3 and 7 for a tight turn into jump 10. They clear jump 10 as the new leaders. Zimbie and James are next. Before entering the arena, James leans forward. Zimbie, we can't beat them on speed. We are going to have to cut corners. Let's do this. They canter their circle and the bell goes. They jump and clears jump 1. Cutting between jump 2 and 7, they approach 3 at an angle. The audience audibly hold their breath. Zimbie jumps and they clear jump 3 easily. They go down the arena, take their turn in front of jump 4, and clear the double bar at 5. James turns Zimbie while still in the air. They narrowly miss jump 3 when taking a very tight turn between jump 3 and 10. He keeps the small circle and line up for jump 10. They fly across and race to the finish line. The crowd cheers. James falls onto Zimbie's neck, tears of joy and happiness streaming down his face. A big smile spread across his face. He pats Zimbie on either side of his neck. Well done, boy. You did it. He hugs Zimbie, whom has slowed to a walk. Zimbie turns his head and looks at James, a happy smile on his face. Outside the gate, James dismounts. The voice over the loudspeaker calls for the last contestant, Caesar and Abigail. Abigail and Caesar canter in a circle. The bell rings and they start their round. They easily do the first jump. They try to cut between jump 2 and 7, but Abigail sees they not going to make it. She swerves to the right to pass through between the fence and jump 2. Flustered, Caesar, not knowing what is expected of him, jumps number 2. The bell sounds twice, announcing a disqualification. Abigail walks Caesar out of the arena. You are supposed to be the best, and look what you did. She blames Caesar. She looks at Zimbie and James and the people supporting him. Even that stupid pony beat you, and he can't even jump. At the gate, her mother waits, hands at her sides. It is obvious that she is not happy with Abigail's performance. Abigail reaches her. What on earth were you thinking? Can you even think? Tears wells up in Abigail's eyes. I'm sorry, Mother. I have tried. You tried? Well, obviously it was good enough. Even that pony beat you. Abigail drops her head and her shoulders sag. I'm sorry, Mother. Her mother nods. Come get him to the stables. We need to go. Abigail starts walking Caesar to the stables. When she passes Zimbie and James, she stops for a moment. How did you make him jump like that? I didn't make him do anything. He jumps because he wants to. I go along because I trust him. We're just having fun. James explains, uncertain where this is leading to. What if you don't win? Abigail asks, not understanding why James is not concerned about winning. Then, we still had fun. For us, it is not about winning. It's about friendship and trust. Abigail's mother calls Abigail impatiently. I guess I should go. She picks up the reins and, reluctantly, moves off to the stables, a sad expression on her face. The voice crackles over the loudspeaker. Again. Can the following riders to come to the judges? Abigail and Caesar, Philip and Chance, James and Zimbie, Dougie and Storm. Abigail brings Caesar to a halt and turns him around. All the riders and their horses enter the arena and walk over to the judges. They line up before the 3 judges. Abigail and Caesar receive the 4th place. One of the judges walks forward. She shakes Abigail's hand and pins a green, white, and black rosette to Caesar's brow band. Abigail nods and smiles. She backs Caesar back into the line. Dougie and Storm receive 3rd place. Dougie nudges Storm to take a couple of steps forward to meet the judges. The same lady, judge, steps forward and pins a bright orange and brown rosette to Storm's brow band. She shakes Dougie's hand and speaks a couple of words to her. Dougie backs Storm up to fall back in line with the other horses. In 2nd place, with the time of 44 seconds, we have Philip and Chance. The voice over the loudspeaker enlightens the crowd watching. The crowd cheers as Philip nudges Chance forward. They meet up with the lady judge that has already stepped forward. She pins a big red and white rosette to Chance's brow band. In 1st place, we have newcomers James and Zimbie with a new course record of 39.6 seconds. The voice over the loudspeaker continues. The crowd cheers loudly. Dad puts his arm across Mom's shoulders proudly. Seems like James was right all the time. He saw something in that horse none of us did. Mom just nods, not taking her eyes off James, who is at the judges now, getting a big blue and white rosette pinned to Zimbie's brow band. She talks to James, who nods. The voice over the loudspeaker congratulates all the riders and their horses. The riders start to disperse. At the gate, James dismounts Zimbie. He takes the saddle off. I think it's enough of this old thing for today. He turns to Zimbie. You did so well today. Thank you. James plonks a kiss on Zimbie's cheek. Come, let's get you home. You need the rest. He picks up the saddle and carries it to where Gina, Dad, Jen, and Instructor Sherry is waiting. Dad takes the saddle from James. He puts it on the side of the pickup and pats Patty sitting on the back. Mom grabs James in a hug. James, I'm so proud of you. It wasn't all me, Mom. This little guy did most of the work. James put his hand between Zimbie's ears and shakes it in his mane. Dad comes from the back, grabs James, and swirls him around. James laughs. You two were amazing, he says, proud. James chuckles. Thank you, Dad. Patty jumps off the pickup to share in the happiness. He gives Zimbie a soppy kiss with his big wet tongue, the silly smile ever present on his face. Jen moves in with her wheelchair, one leg straight. She stops in front of Zimbie. She takes his face between her hands. I always knew you could do it. When you have the heart, your size doesn't matter. Zimbie snorts and nestles his muzzle in Jen's lap, almost knocking her over. She laughs, so does James. Jen turns her attention to James and congratulates him too. I told him to imagine it was the day we rescued you, James shares with Jen. That's why he did so well. He is a real little hero, Jen says and smiles. Abigail walks away. In her arms she carries her saddle, as she has seen James do, the reins hooked on her arm. Caesar follows her meekly. James looks at her, then smiles. Abigail, wait! He asks. Abigail stops, uncertain what to expect. In the distance, behind the horse box, Abigail's mom walks closer. She looks upset. She stops when she sees Abigail waiting on James, lowering the saddle to the ground. James fiddles with Zimbie's bridle and runs to Abigail. I want you to have this. James hands her the big blue and white rosette. I don't understand. Why? Abigail wants to know, confused as to why James is handing her the rosette. We don't need it. We have it. James taps on his heart. Here. Abigail takes the rosette from James's hands. She smiles. Thank you. Thank you for showing me how it is supposed to be. James smiles. He looks at Caesar and walks closer. Softly, he rubs Caesar's face. You have a great horse. Take care of him, and he will take care of you. Abigail unhooks the reins from her arms and hands them to James. She motions to Zimbie. May I? She asks, respectful. James looks at Zimbie. He nods. The little red-haired girl approaches Zimbie slowly. She goes down on her haunches. She takes Zimbie's bridle and turns his face towards her. Regretful for how she has treated him before, she apologizes sincerely. Zimbie, I am so sorry for what I have done to you and also to Caesar. I didn't know better. Can you forgive me? Zimbie breaks free from Abigail's grip. He puts his head over her shoulder and yanks her into a hug. Abigail chuckles as she regains her balance and gets up. I guess it's forgiven. Thank you, Zimbie. Gina looks at Dad and smiles. He smiles back at her. She is so unbelievably proud of what is happening here. She starts to move forward, but Dad grabs her hand and holds her back. Abigail takes the reins from James before she picks up the saddle. She turns to Caesar. Caesar, I am so sorry for treating you the way I did. Can you forgive me? Caesar pricks his ears, unfamiliar with this kind tone in her voice. Do you think we can be friends, like James and Zimbie? Caesar nods and Abigail hugs him, her face pushed against his neck. Caesar drops his head and hugs her back. After what seems an eternity, Abigail lifts her head and looks at the ribbon in her hands. Thank you, James, but you should keep this. You and Zimbie deserve it more than I do. She holds it out to James, who took it from her hands. She picked up the saddle and started leading Caesar to the stable. Come, boy, let's get you taken care of. Caesar follows her, willingly this time. Only now, Dad let Gina's hand go. She kneels down to look James in the eye. James, my dear James, it was a wonderful what you just did. I am so proud of you. She puts her hands on his shoulders. You know, when you chose Zimbie, looks at Dad, we thought you made a mistake. But we were wrong. You couldn't have chosen a better pony. Gina hugs James. He lays his head on her shoulder, a smile on his face. He picks up his head up. and looks over Mom's shoulder to Zimbie, who had walked across to them. He placed a kiss on James's forehead. Patty jumps in from the side, determined not to miss out anything. He gives James sloppy kisses. Gina and Zimbie also get some. They all start laughing. Behind the horse box, Abigail's mom gives Abigail a hug, then bends down to pick up the saddle from the ground and carries it for Abigail. The end. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description below, I've included links for me to find and purchase this book.